Canada's down, folks. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Missouri Swagger. I'm Dennis Hopeless.
And I am Cullen Bunn. I do not have sci-fi headphones the way Dennis does. He looks like Lobot from Empire Strikes Back. Was that guy's name? Lobot?
This motherfucker doesn't make fun of me at all until we start recording. And then he brings up.
I save it up, man. I save it up.
Yeah, I'm at my girlfriend's place, and the only Apple headphones I had were the kind that go on my phone, not the kind that go on my computer, because Apple likes to make it difficult to listen to things. And Jasmine has these rose gold Beats by Dre.
They're fancy. The important question is that dude's name is Lobot, right? Lobot.
Yes, Lobot's the guy with the thing. Yeah. Well, look, if I had them up, they'd be crushing my hair, and that would be no good. I can't have that.
I'll take things Dennis Hopeless might say for $1,000, Alex.
So what are we talking about?
I don't know. It's this sort of a hodgepodge, right? We've both been very busy.
The title of this episode is It's Friday. We need to record, and we haven't discussed this yet.
That's actually what I'm going to title it.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, Dennis?
Rocking through stuff. I have a bunch of projects that are kind of coming to a close at the same time. So I'm writing like my last issue of Cloak and Dagger, and I'm writing my last couple WWEs, and I'm closing in on having the new image book ready to go. So I'm writing that. So I am actively finishing a bunch of things while sort of passively working on pitches and talking to editors and figuring out what's next. So it's been a flurry of creative activity over here.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, no, same here. I think in our last episode, I got an email while we were recording saying I needed to refine a pitch, but since then I got more emails saying don't worry about refining the pitch. We like it. Let's go ahead. So I've been outlining that project, which has yet to be announced, and I've been working on Vampirella versus Reanimator, which I wrote the first issue of that series, which got announced last week. So been working on that book, and doing a lot of stuff on As Guardians of the Galaxy. Still working on the first, wrapping up the first arc of that series. So it's been busy on the comic book front, and then I also I'm rapidly closing in on CaveCon, the convention I'm co-sponsoring, is next week. We will be recording there a lot, right?
A lot. We're just gonna record a 6 months worth of things when we're in the same room, and then we don't have to do this for a while.
We are seated next to each other, so we could just record the entire weekend.
You don't like me at cons. I pester you.
If you're there, we record. Because I'm telling you, more and more, I mention you at a convention and people say, is Dennis really going to be there? Like, that seems to be the joke about Dennis Hopeless. I see you gone from the table occasionally, but not as much as these people apparently see you gone.
Well, the problem is I usually don't have someone with me. So when I'm not at my table, there's no one there.
Right.
I have a tendency to wander away unannounced.
Well, you want to see stuff, right? You want to do stuff?
Yes. I think the problem more than me not being there is that I don't make it clear when I'm going to be there, so it's a crapshoot.
Right.
Jasmine was with me at Planet this year and had me make a schedule and put that online, and I felt like that made it way more clear, but I've got such a reputation for not being at my table that I still heard it. Also, I always say yes to all these panels and signings and stuff, which is me doing a thing before the convention, and to make it make sense that they brought me out, and I still get in trouble with fans for not being at my table during pre-planned convention activities.
Well, CaveCon has none of those this year. We're doing no panels this first year.
Well, I'm gonna hear that I'm just recording all the time is what I'll hear. Why don't you were at your table, but you were recording? Well,
it's funny. We have this limited edition print that we had designed specifically for CaveCon. And it was done by this amazing pop artist, Ridge Rooms.
The green thing?
What's that?
The green one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah,
it's super awesome. And Ridge put all these amazing little stories in it and these little, ideas. And this was not about you at all. But there's a there's one of the tables on the print has the Invisible Man signing books, and so
Right.
it looks like a table where nobody's seated. So from now on, that is officially where Dennis Hopeless is seated in the print. So, but it was not intentionally Dennis Hopeless, but it is now.
It is now.
Yeah.
That is my reputation, which, I mean, I guess it's earned. I am a little bit of a wanderer.
I wander too, though. I mean, I like.
Yeah, but you've always got other people at your table, and your table also always has like a bunch of books. Like, it's a whole ordeal. Mine is usually just me and a couple of little standees with some stuff. And also, my banner stand got stolen like 2 years ago, so I haven't really had much signage.
So if you go into my garage, you just see the Dennis Hopeless banner stand standing in the corner in my little shrine to Dennis Hopeless.
If you took a crowbar to my passenger door to get into my car to steal my banner stand, when you could have just taken it when it was sitting next to you at any time.
Wait, let's go back. Let's unpack this. Someone broke into your car to steal your banner stand?
Yeah, well, when I first moved, I live in the River Market, which is a little small community just across the street from downtown Kansas City, just across the highway. And we've got a highway on one side and a river on the other, so it's a small little area. And for whatever reason, there are a lot of homeless people that live over here.
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of crime, but cars will get broken into if they leave things that are useful to homeless people in them. And I had been at a convention, and I left a suitcase and my banner stand in the car. So they took, what's sad is the suitcase just had a short box in it full of WWE comics. So this homeless person got a busted ass suitcase with a broken handle, a bunch of comics, and it looks like a gun case, but it was a banner stand.
They probably thought it was a gun. They thought it was a rifle.
Right. So nothing they stole was actually useful or sellable. But it was very useful to me. So, yeah, I no longer have my suitcase that fits a short box. I no longer have my banner stand, which I got when I was an employee of the sign shop. So I got it for dirt cheap and had for years.
Oh.
And I lost all of the most lucrative WWE variants as well. Like all the first few issues of my WWE variants that are like $100 a piece. All those are gone too. And they probably ended up in the river.
Well, that stinks.
Tragic. I know.
It's awful. Yeah.
Look how good my hair looks in this lighting. We should focus on that for a minute.
I'm making a note to myself here to remember this moment when you were a complete douchebag for all of 2 seconds there. What else? So also this week I did something that was exciting for me because I've never done it before. I was on a talk show here in Springfield, Missouri.
I saw that. You had on your like Western fance. Like,
it
you had
wasn't
like a brown jacket. You had like a brown jacket and a blue like denim shirt and cowboy boots.
You got it all wrong.
You looked like my dad going to the Sizzler in 1980.
They were. I looked as fancy as I have looked in 15 years, I think. Thank you very much.
You look great. I'm not throwing shade.
It wasn't a denim shirt. Thank you very much. It was a regular cotton shirt, I guess. So I guess
I think you got to throw this photo up for the folks to see.
Yeah, I'll throw pictures of how awesome I looked. But I was on it's a show called The Mystery Hour, which tapes here in Springfield and then airs all over the place. I think it airs in Kansas City. I think it airs in Charlotte, North Carolina. It airs all over. But it's I got to watch 3 episodes being taped, and it's a really cool show. Super high production values. I mean, it's funny. It's got. I mean, it's a really interesting show that you might not suspect is filmed right around here. And they wanted to talk to me about my funny books.
So it looked like a talk show from what I've seen, but they do other things.
It's very much the format is they do some humor, some skits, some jokes, and then they have a guest that they interview. And then they have a musical guest, and it's a great show. The first episode of the new season, which is not my episode, I don't think, airs like in early to mid-October, and then I think I'm the second episode. I'm sure we will post about it and link to it when it comes up, because I think they also air them online. But
did you talk about me on this show?
That's all I talked about. I came out and I said, I know you want to talk about comic books, but let me let me talk to you about Dennis Hopeless first.
No, not just about me. About Missouri Swagger is what you should. You should have
You know-
plugged the show.
Well, in the pre-interview, I talked about all these things. I talked about CaveCon. I talked about Missouri Swagger. I talked about my books. The pre-interview was probably an hour long.
Right.
And then I got up there on stage, and it felt like I was there for a minute and a half.
That's why they do the pre-interview, to cut the fat.
Yeah.
That's why you have to stomp Missouri Swagger in at the end.
Yeah,
every interview you do. I don't want to hear you talking. I don't want to see your face unless I'm being told about Missouri Swagger from here on out.
I got to be honest. I was such a delight that I'll be shocked if they don't invite me back very soon. And I heard they're looking for a co-host.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little bit surprised they haven't called me just to be the regular co-host. I was so awesome on the show. So.
And then you could bring me on.
Right. You could come on.
And I would only talk about Missouri Swagger.
Well, maybe that'll be the next thing. I'll promote us coming on to talk about Missouri Swagger. And then maybe we just get a segment on Mystery Hour called the Missouri Swagger segment.
Yes. I just want this to make us money. Like, I feel like we need this to provide income. So that is the goal.
We got to be a lot better, Dennis.
I understand. We're little babies. We're little babies just starting to crawl across the floor. Our heads, we can finally hold our heads up. Like, people can hear me, I think. Which, by the way, I'm supposed to give Jasmine credit for that too. She's the one that told me to wear the iPhone headphones last time. Right. And this should have a similar effect. If I sound terrible right now, then that's the Beats by Dre's fault. But we're getting there. What I'm saying is we're getting there.
I just assume that anything smart you do is Jasmine's responsibility.
She's a good editor.
Yeah. But and I think we got a few new subscribers yesterday. I did a live YouTube interview with another, like a comic book video cast or whatever last night. And as I'm doing the interview, I start seeing all these people, so-and-so subscribed, so-and-so subscribed. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I realized they were subscribing to my personal YouTube channel, which I never do anything on really. And so I quickly said, guys, go back and subscribe to Missouri Swagger. That's the one that has the interesting content. Or the content, maybe not interesting content. But
what are you talking about? We are just fantastic to listen to.
Well, we are really full of ourselves today.
No, we got to be confident.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it, Colin.
I've been faking it for decades at this point.
Well, you've made it by some metrics. Which, by the way, I re-listened to. I don't usually listen to the episodes, but once I found out that it sounded good last time, I listened to it. And the pause waiting for you to respond after I asked you if you've ever been bowling is maybe the funniest thing I've ever been a part of.
Well, it was the dumbest question. Okay, I don't know. Maybe
it was good. It was solid comedic timing. It was accidental. I was legitimately just waiting for you to respond, but it was very funny.
Yeah, well, thanks. Ask me if I've done some other everyday normal activity sometime. And
some people probably haven't been bowling. I don't know. My kids have never been bowling.
Your kids are kids. They're little.
Yeah. There's a reason, but still.
Yeah. But yeah, no, super busy week. I'm super excited to see you next week at CaveCon, though. I think it's gonna be fun.
It is going to be fun. I'm excited. I've been, we could talk about old cartoons. I've been watching old cartoons.
Oh, I noticed that. I noticed on Twitter you've been watching a lot of He-Man, and what was the other one you watched?
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, because Firestar dressed up as Spider-Woman in the first episode.
That is not why they always want to watch Spider-Man, but for whatever reason, there's not a good way to watch the kid-friendly Spider-Man cartoons without paying for it. And I pay for like 6 subscription services. So I'm always opening a different subscription service to try and find something. And I randomly found Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which I had seen a couple episodes of during the Marvel Action Hour or whatever in the later 80s. Because that show came out, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends came out the year I was born. So I don't actually remember it. But I saw a couple episodes of it when they repurposed it years later. And so I did not remember it. And there's a fantastic scene in the first episode where Firestar dresses up like Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. Aunt May refers to her as that horrible Spider-Woman. Like, she doesn't like her for some reason. And then they go to the high school costume dance, and everyone is dressed like a Marvel superhero. So
And doesn't Green Goblin show up and harass them? Is that Green Goblin?
And Bobby lets Green Goblin take his date away because he doesn't realize it's the real Green Goblin. He thinks it's another student trying to dance with her. Because the Green Goblin's like, can I have this dance? And he's like, yeah, sure. But the best part is there's a white Luke Cage in the background.
Oh, man.
It's a very 1981 animation decision that they made.
I got to check that out. I remember the cartoon fairly vividly for a show I haven't watched since it came on.
Right.
But I don't remember a white Luke Cage.
I mean, he's a background character.
Sure.
It's a thing that's a.
Was it just a bad coloring? Like, was it somebody who didn't understand who the character was? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because he's basically just wearing a jumpsuit and a chain around his waist. I think he's got the crown thing too.
It's not a tiara, right? It's a what is that called?
It is. It's a poor design choice. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a fun scene because it's very like, look at all our cool characters dancing. For no,
I'm sure they're all dancing like they all dance the same way, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Those are drawings. It's hard to make drawings dance. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I try to put dancing in all of my series. There's at least one dance sequence in all of my series, which it's partially just a thing that I think is funny. It's also a thing that I stole from Grey's Anatomy. Also, it's all but impossible to do a drawing of a character dancing in a couple of panels and make it look good. So it's like I'm just doing something mean to the artist. I just put dancing at the very, very end of Cloak and Dagger because I had not done it yet. So
it's just you must do it. You have to have dancing. All right.
Yes.
I mean, I did an issue of Fearless Defenders, and it was supposed to be an Infinity tie-in. And when I pitched it to the editor, I said I want it to be step up for the Marvel superhero universe. And it's pretty much a dancing issue. It introduces a new character who is a dancer, and she dances when she fights, and she's awesome. And she's one of my favorite Marvel characters because I created her. And she's completely underused, including in my work, because I haven't found a place to put her yet.
Is this the lady with the whip fingers?
Yeah, she has. It's Ren Kimura. Thank you very much. She has whip fingers that are like ribbons, and she like ribbon dances with Wolverine claws, long lashing Wolverine ribbon claws.
It is remarkable that no one else has picked that up and run with it.
I don't know if you're being a jackass, but it is because she's an awesome character. And I don't, you know what? I don't really want anybody else to pick it up and run because they're going to ruin that character. So I would rather just save it until I can use her in a book. So.
Right. Well, it's funny how we do that. Like, we create things that we think are super fun, and then we'll just pick them back up because nobody else does. Because every other writer has done the same thing.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, I actually have a Colossus Domino story coming out in the Domino Annual that is a callback to my Cable and X-Force days. And while writing that, I thought, I'm going to do a Domino and Colossus series.
Why not?
Because the characters are super fun.
No, one day I will just do a series. It's all the characters I created that are not being used at the current time. And
so all the characters you created that are...
Yeah, essentially. Basically all the characters I created. So...
Yeah. I mean, if sales weren't an issue and popularity wasn't an issue, I would definitely have a Porcupine ongoing series that was going on right now.
That'd be cool.
I would have a Domino and Colossus like buddy cop drama, and I would be writing about all the Braddock Academy kids, maybe in a flashback so that I could use all the dead ones.
Right.
But instead, we tend to just pull them into larger projects or other projects.
Yeah. Well, Annabelle Riggs is in as Guardians of the Galaxy right now because I love Annabelle Riggs, and it's a perfect opportunity to use that character.
Right.
And yeah, there's I think every pitch I send, I try to work in one of the characters I created that I like that is getting underused. And part of it's because I think they're underused. And the other part is I'm terrified of what other creators will do to those characters. They'll do terrible, mean things.
Well, that makes me want to go to your comic book DB page, find all of the characters you've created, and then put them in silly scenes in the backgrounds of my comics.
All right. All right, that's fine. Do that. I'll do the same to you, friend.
You do.
When? What? No.
Yeah, you use Cammy. You have my version of Cammy.
But you didn't. Yeah, but I didn't treat her badly. She's awesome.
I didn't say I was going to treat them badly. I said I'm going to put them in silly background scenes.
All right, that's fine.
I do well.
Cammy is a great character. I liked your interpretation of Cammy, and that's why she's in Drax.
I think we discussed this last episode.
We did. And she also teamed up with Planet Terry, which makes her even more awesome.
Yes, and Planet Terry was my very first comic book.
What? Oh, that you read. I was okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a Planet Terry Firestorm 2-pack from Stuckey's. We definitely had this conversation before.
We talked about
way
right.
back.
We did. Yeah. So it's just a callback to a previous episode, folks. Mm-hmm.
Have you started decorating your house for Halloween, or do you just always have a skeleton behind?
I always have a skeleton behind me. I mean, you called him out too soon. Slowly, my son wants me to reposition him around the room every episode so that people notice that he's lurking back there in some way, shape, or form. But no, there are always Halloween decorations up in my house of some kind. I collect Halloween like sort of really nice, jack-o'-lanterns and old vintage jack-o'-lantern, plastic jack-o'-lanterns and things like that. But and I just keep them displayed somewhere because Halloween's awesome.
Halloween is the greatest holiday by a country mile.
Yes, easily.
I love it so much. In college, I used to spend from late June, early July until October 31st getting into shape for whatever costume. Because my biggest fear was always being the fat whatever. Like I didn't want to be the fat Lion-O the year that I was Lion-O. I didn't want to be fat Destro the year I was Destro. And so I would lose. I'd get in really good shape and then immediately just get shit-faced wasted, blowed up, and eat a bunch of candy.
Well, of course, that's what you do. That's Halloween. Two things, and I want to get back to cartoons because you brought up Lion-O. So I think this software we use to record this, I think we could have dozens of people up on at one time. And I think we should try to get a bunch of creator friends and other people to dress up for Halloween, and we do a Halloween special Missouri Swagger, and we're all in costume and talking about. I think that would be fun, even if it's just if it's not going to be fun if it's just the two of us. That'll be weird. But if we had a bunch of people, it'd be awesome. I
agree completely. I actually have my mother saves all my Halloween costumes and has since I was 4. So there's a closet in her basement that is just full of old clothes and old Halloween costumes. And the other day, Jasmine and I took my sister to a place here called Funky Town, which is a dance club in the suburbs that is everything from 21-year-olds to like 60-year-olds dressing up in like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s costumes and dancing to, like top 40 hits of the period. So it's like a really goofy dance bar. And Jasmine dressed up like a 70s, I don't know, like in a 70s sort of costume. So I was trying to find something to wear. And I tried on my Han Solo shirt from when I was Han Solo when I was 17, because it was kind of like a flouncy, pirate shirt.
Right.
And I'm trim, but I'm not 17 anymore. So when I put it on, it pinched my pec flesh together in a way that created breasts. And it was a very weird look. So I didn't wear that. I ended up wearing a pair of my mother's white slacks from the 90s at some point that had kind of a belled bottom and then a blue shirt, and I looked great. And I was one of like 9 men in white pants at that dance club that night.
And one of the only men in existence who's ever used the term "my pec flesh." So
my man breasts, whatever you want to call it.
Pec flesh. Okay.
Pec flesh. I'm trying to not. Like I was already talking about how my shirt was pinching them into boobs. I didn't want to oversell how bad it was. Anyway, I have a closet full of costumes. The point is, I have a closet full of costumes, including my Captain Cold costume, my Destro costume, my Winnie the Pooh costume, like all these costumes. So if somebody needed a costume to wear for
our big party
event, yes. Then
all right, we're going to talk about this. We're going to make that happen somehow. Yes, speaking of pec flesh, I had a conundrum this morning. I dropped my kid off at school, and my habit has been drive to the gym as soon as I drop him off school.
Right.
This morning I had to decide between driving to the gym and working out or stopping at McDonald's and eating a lot of sausage and McMuffins.
Which did you go with? I think that's a solid choice. You had a rough week. Your kid got braces this week.
Yes, my kid got braces. That was rough. It was more for him. He was fine. For me, it was physically exhausting and mentally terrifying, and it was awful. I hate anything to do with that.
Medical procedures with your child. Makes sense.
Yeah. First of all, dental work anyway, but with my kid even more so.
Right.
All right, so Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and He-Man. Which did your kids like? Which do your kids like best?
Well, my kids love He-Man because I had a Castle Grayskull as decoration in my apartment on top of this pillar for a long time, and they always asked about it. And then one day I'm like, well, it doesn't like. I don't care if that thing breaks; it's already broken. Yeah, from childhood. So I pulled it down and let them play with it. And then since then, they've gotten interested. So I've showed them a little bit of He-Man. And now when I go to conventions, I buy them the loose He-Man figures, the cheap broken down ones. So they've got a bunch of those. So they like that a lot. And they have a lot of questions. And He-Man was my shit when I was a kid. So I know the answers. So I can be like, well, that's Buzz Off. And he comes from the bee people, blah, blah, blah.
I'm cleaning my garage this weekend. I'm gonna see if I have some of those old He-Man. I'll give you. My kid is uninterested in He-Man, so
he's more of a Malbolgia.
No, he's not he's very into computer animated cartoons, like the Ninja Turtle show that's been running for the past few years. He's loved that. Now they've revamped it into a hand drawn cartoon, and he's like, I don't understand why would they do that? Why would they
make it worse?
Yeah, why would they change it from computer animated? And that show, by the way, was awesome. If you haven't watched it, it is a really great TV show. The computer animated Ninja Turtles.
I saw an episode or two. I don't know. It's weird to watch that stuff like when they've revamped it 7 times, and I'm like, it's been 4 since I saw the last one because enough things have shifted and changed, and I'm like, what? This is not really for me.
Yeah, no, I like that show. But the only old cartoon, besides Scooby-Doo, man, he loves Scooby-Doo.
Well, Scooby-Doo's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great show. And Real Ghostbusters. He loved the Real Ghostbusters for a while. And so again, that is what's that?
He likes ghosts.
Yeah, he likes ghosts. But Real Ghostbusters is genuinely a really good show as well. He was into my Mask toys, so I bought him the Mask box set of the Mask TV series, and he was uninterested in that.
Well, the toys are the best part of that by a lot.
Yeah. So, but no, other than that, we don't watch a lot of. I've tried to get him to watch a bunch of old cartoons, but it's a no.
I mean, my kids are also 3, almost 4, a little easier.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, the main reason we started watching the older stuff is I'm so sick of Paw Patrol that I am like, let's sit down and play with the toys. And so, like we make up stories with the toys and do more of that instead of watching TV. And then like at the end of the night, there's always 20 minutes where I want to calm down before bed because there's 2 of them and they're 3. So we'll turn the lights low and put something on. And I just, this day that we were playing He-Man, I'm like, I can't do Paw Patrol. You guys want to watch He-Man? So that's when we started watching it.
That's cool. Yeah. I think this weekend, my son and I are going to watch Aliens together.
Is he ready?
I think he's ready for Aliens. I don't think I'd let him watch Alien yet. I think that would scare him too much. But Aliens is pretty much like Jurassic Park, only with alien monsters instead of dinosaurs.
It's more of an action movie than a horror.
It's action. Yeah. The only horror, he loves Goosebumps, the TV show and the books, and he loves all, that kind of stuff. But the only real horror movie he even started to watch with me was The Thing, because he was like, I really want to watch this movie you're always talking about. And so I talked to his mom and I said, there's no bad language in it. There may be a little bad language, but there's nothing besides the horror element that will really get to him.
Right.
And she said, okay, but you're going to have to deal with the nightmares if he has any. And he watched about 10 or 15 minutes of it. He sat there and said, Dad, this is not scary. I don't know why you keep saying this movie is the best horror movie. It's not scary at all. And then we got to the scene where the dogs sort of implode and then explode, and the this column of flesh comes up and they're writhing around. And I looked over at him at that scene, and he just had this look of mortal terror on his face, just like what has happened to me. And I remember, because I was younger than him when I watched the thing for the first time.
Right.
I remember, or I might have been about his age, but I remember the same feeling of what just happened to me in this movie. Right. And then he pretended to go to sleep, I think. He fell asleep quickly after that, and I think he was pretending so I could just call it a night. We never revisited it. So
he'll get there. He'll get there. It's weird.
Aliens is a different beast than the thing. And look, if he's not into, I mean, he loves scary stuff. He's just not quite ready for that. I watched Heredity by myself the other night. And that's a movie I would never let my kid watch ever in a million years. Have you seen this? You've seen Heredity?
No, it looks scary as hell, but I haven't seen it.
It's a great movie. It's one of those movies, the first hour, you're like, is this a horror movie? Is it a family drama? What's going on? And then it just takes this crazy turn and, shit gets real fast. And it's hard to take in the last half hour of that movie's hard to take.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it. I want to see.
It's a great horror movie.
I've been watching a lot of television. I haven't seen a movie in a while. Been watching Ozark. Love Ozark. Big fan. Missouri Swagger on tape on the Netflix.
Right. They don't like it. They don't like it at the light.
I mean,
though.
They don't think it's a good representation of them, but of course it's not. Right. And then we watched the premiere of the new season of American Horror Story. With this one is Apocalypse, I think. And I had not seen it in a while, and Jasmine's a couple seasons behind. So last night we were watching Hotel, the one with Lady Gaga.
Yes.
So I like that. That show's ridiculous, but it's fun.
I like the first episode of that show, or first season of that show, quite a bit. And I've just had a hard time getting into any of the other seasons.
That's what everybody says. And I loved the first season. That's the only thing I had seen. And yeah, I think it gets a lot. A lot happens in the seasons after that. Like once it was popular, like we could get away with anything.
Right.
So it's really jam-packed, but it's entertaining.
So I keep it. It's in my Netflix queue almost always to give it another shot. And I've watched bits and pieces of every season, I think. But I just have to commit to that time. I just got my account to Shudder.
Yeah.
Not long ago, and that is occupying a lot of my time because there's so many awesome horror movies. And
so you're watching Friday the 13th, the series on the reg.
Is that on Shudder?
I believe so.
Oh well, I will be watching it because I used to love that show. No, I've been watching like a lot of movies. I just watched Return of the Living Dead. I haven't seen it probably in 8 years or so, and it's a show that or movie. As soon as I put it on, I can sense walking through a video store. Like I can smell VHS tapes, and it just brings it. That movie conjures up all this nostalgia for me. But,
there was a period of about 2 or 3 years where I worked my way through every horror movie they had in Blockbuster.
Yeah. So
I have seen like Lair of the White Worm and Chopping Mall and all this shit that nobody else has ever seen because of that.
Chopping Mall is awesome.
It's maybe the greatest movie poster for the worst movie.
Yeah, it's not a good movie, but it's still awesome.
Because the movie poster makes it look like it's going to be really gruesome and amazing, and the fucking killer robot is the saddest, like robot vacuum looking thing you'll ever see in your life, and it shoots really unimpressive lasers. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't like that it's called Chopping Mall, and yet he shoots people with lasers.
Right. It's very weird.
Yeah, but all right, we talked a little bit about everything today.
Yep, it's your Missouri Swagger dime. You got to tell your story, and I think you have to tell, because we've been talking about horror stuff. I think you have to tell the story that got cut from the episode that had bad audio. You got to tell the Vampire the Masquerade story.
I don't know, man. I don't like that story anymore. The more I think about it,
I ran it by a good source, and I think you're okay. I think you're okay. It's a great story.
All right. So this was, oh my gosh, it was probably 20 years ago, close to it. It was a long time ago now. I used to publish a small press magazine called Whispers from the Shattered Form. I'm sure we've talked about it before. And I would go to little conventions and set up and sell my magazines. And I often took with me my good friend, Nate. Nate is no longer with us. I miss him dearly. But anyway, I often took Nate with me to conventions. And Nate liked going to conventions because Nate thought conventions was the perfect place for him to meet and pick up women. That was what Nate's, he liked gaming, he liked science fiction, he liked, reading, he liked movies, but he really liked to pick up women at conventions. That's what he did.
Was he good at it?
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
All right. Did all right.
Anyway, we, at this one convention we went to, we were getting set up, we were walking down the hall to go to the convention, and we noticed go to our hotel room, and we noticed as we're walking to our hotel room that every room on the hall has a sign tacked to the door. And it says things like the gun shop, the succubus club, the prince's lair, all these different, names. And ours is the only room on the hall that does not have a sign tacked to it. And we realized that our room is in the middle of the Vampire the Masquerade live action arena, whatever's going on. We're like in the city in the vampire. So we're surrounded by vampires. But we are not part of the game. Our room is not part of the game. One day we go back to our room to get drinks or something, to take a break from selling books. And as we're coming out of our hotel room, the door across from us opens up. And this very pretty woman comes out. She's dressed as she's obviously in full vampire mode. I don't know. She's
right.
a Toreador or a Ventru or one of the other, many clans of vampires. So she comes out and she's accompanied by these two dudes. I can't remember. Maybe it was the Prince's Lair or something across the hall from us. She comes out. So we come out at the same time. And as we exit the room, she looks over at us and she says, "Oh, what is happening over here?" And as I'm getting ready to say nothing, we're not playing the game, Nate steps up quickly and pushes me back and he says, "Who knows what antediluvian plots unfold within?" And he beckons to her like this. So she just immediately she's like, "Oh," and she just walks straight into the room. And her two friends start following her in, and Nate says, "Your kind is not welcome here." And he slams the door in their face. And she gets in the room and very quickly realizes that this is not part of the game, that we're not playing the game, that Nate is not currently live action role playing a vampire. And I saw this look of sort of this worrisome look on her face. Yeah, sort of the face you just made. And I quickly said, whoa, it's okay. He's, just messing around, just, having a good day. And, I opened the door quickly and let her, she exit with her two vampire retainers or ghoul retainers or whatever. At the time, it was a funny story. The more I think about it, and the last time I told the story, I feel like, man, that's an uncomfortable story. And maybe
listen, it's probably not an okay thing to do to a stranger, but she was safe. And you were horrified when you saw the look on her face. And we're not. It
freaks me out a little bit.
No, I think it's okay. Like, it is funny, and it's.
No,
funny
I thought about it afterwards, and I realized that she hung out with us at the convention. She hung out with Nate that evening at the show and stuff. He did not pick her up because I think it was hard for her to get past the fact that he lied about being a vampire.
Sure.
But
he was also just messing around. But it's a little bit of a questionable move, but it's still funny.
Yes. It was a little, it was a funny story. It's one of those stories that, 15, 20 years ago when it happened was a lot funnier. Over the years, it has become progressively less funny, I think. Yeah.
Well, dumbass guy bullshit is no longer tolerated in the same way that it used to be.
No, it is not. But the fact, it's always, my memory of Nate will always be that he pulled the word antediluvian out of thin air.
Which means before the biblical flood, right?
Yes, before the biblical flood. He just he beckoned her right in with antediluvian. That's how you That's how you tempt vampires, I guess. That word, antediluvian.
Yep, that's awesome.
What would have been really horrific is if she were a real vampire
and had murdered you,
and then murdered us. That would have been.
So I've been watching. This is the last little thing. I've been watching. What's his name? Norm Macdonald's new Netflix show.
Yes.
Which is the bombing on stage as a comedian. Like it's that done as a talk show. So he is interviewing guests, but he'll interrupt them or like cut off their jokes. Like it's like he's trying to make it the worst interview ever. The
Right.
David Spade one's really funny because he just keeps stomping on Spade at every moment. But at one point, he's explaining his thoughts on vampires to Drew Barrymore. And he's talking about how he has like carved a big steak and he's prepared at any time for his house to get attacked by vampires. But it's occurred to him before that there are two things that could happen. Either he hits them right in the breastbone, they turn into dust, and then he vacuums it up. Or they bite him on the neck, and then he's immortal. So it's a win-win situation.
No, that's, it kind of is, I guess.
No, it's pretty funny. If you think of it that way, like if the vampires just turn you, then
it's not as easy to get turned, Dennis. You can't just be bitten and become a vampire. There's a process.
Is there?
There is a huge process. There's an exchange. There's an exchange of blood. There's this whole thing. It's awful.
This is real.
All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. Next week, we're going to be shooting a lot of little videos and some longer videos too, but we'll be posting a lot of stuff. So, keep an eye. Hopefully, if you're at CaveCon, which I hope if you're in the area, you will come to the convention. Please come by and say hello to us and tell us how much you love Missouri Swagger.
Yes, please do.
And if you like this, hit the little like button, leave reviews on the podcast version on Stitcher and iTunes, or and please subscribe. That's it for today, folks.